seeing some familiar faces that I've already seen in some of these coffee talks, which is great, and also some new faces. My name is Shauli Katana, and I'm the Director of Member Experience and Programs at the MSBA. We're really excited to have this coffee talk this morning with the solo and small firm section. And we have several MSBA staff on this call as well. And the purpose of these is really just to have a more informal opportunity for the section to come together, to hear a little bit about what we've been up to at MSBA, hear from your chair, and just talk about what's going on in your world since everything turned upside down in March, and how you're feeling as things are starting to reopen. So I would also like to let everyone know we are recording this. And the purpose of that is just so that we can share this with the section and with the members. And we also have a chat function in the upper right-hand corner. You will see a box, and Angela is monitoring that. So feel free to say hello, good morning, buenos dias, and send us any messages or questions that you have. So I will just start off. We have a few slides. And just let me know when you can see my screen, and we'll get started.
It was there, Shauli. Oh, there it is. Screen's up.
Okay, wonderful. So we have been very busy over the last few months now. I used to say a few weeks, now it's a few months since the COVID crisis began. And we have been very excited at how many of you and thousands of attorneys have joined us through a variety of platforms as we've been putting on webinars, town halls, and virtual section meetings. And we have worked closely with a number of Maryland leaders, including the judiciary, where we've shared now over 150 questions and responses with all of you. We've also worked with the governor's office to provide information, to share your concerns, and to obtain clarifications. We've also been meeting weekly with the largest Maryland law firms to talk about their strategies for coping with the COVID crisis and plans for reopening and moving forward. I know we have Richard Montgomery on the call. Richard, could you give us an update about some of these efforts as well as our partnership with the Chamber of Commerce?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Shauli. My name is Richard Montgomery. I serve as MSBA Legislative Director. As Shauli mentioned, we've partnered with a number of organizations and offices that have been heavily involved in responding to the COVID-19 crisis. She mentioned the Governor's Office of Legal Counsel. We've been an active player in a couple of executive orders in working with the Governor's Office of Legal Counsel and the Secretary of State. The first was on remote notarization, which was sort of an executive order that had the effect of speeding up the effective date of the bill in sort of a bare bones fashion. That was the first of the two. Then there was a second that dealt with remote witnessing, principally in connection with estate planning documents. We've also worked with sections on some potential emergency legislation should there be a special session. As you know, there had originally been a special session scheduled for the end of May, which appears that they've already announced that that's not going to happen. But it may still happen at some point prior to January when the regular session would convene. The Estates and Trust section has a bill prepared to firmly establish in statute the remote witnessing provisions that I mentioned earlier. There was also a loose end from the 2020 session where there was I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Land Record Improvement Fund, but it was for the purpose of modernizing land records, many of which are horribly antiquated, and trying to get those modernized and more usable for practitioners. There was a bill to extend the sunset of the surcharge associated with funding that particular fund. And that bill died because of the session ending too soon. Shally also mentioned the Maryland Chamber of Commerce COVID-19 work group, of which we are a member. That group meets weekly and is examining things like participation in the PPP program and the EIDL program. Part of the problem with that is in terms of imparting information, those activity on those two programs moved so quickly that it's hard to keep up-to-date information, but we're doing our best on that. In terms of examining the governor's Reopen Maryland program, two of the big areas of concern that the chamber is concerned about are things like employer liability and employee rights. So we're following those very closely as well. And those are probably the biggest highlights at the moment.
Thanks, Richard. And can you give us any update on the General Assembly?
Well, there's a COVID-19 work group that meets weekly with the Joint Committee of the House and Senate. And today there is a briefing in the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee that will feature the judiciary doing a presentation of what they think the world is going to look like when the courts reopen, scheduled for June. So that should be interesting. That's going to be from 10 to 12 this morning. And if you go to the if you go to the General Assembly page and go under meetings or under committees, it wouldn't be terribly hard to find. But if it's something you're interested in and would like to know how, just put it up in the comments and I'll send you the link.
Thanks, Richard. We've also have a dedicated COVID-19 website from our MSBA page, and we've made this free to not only members, but non-members, the public. Anyone can access this site and obtain the latest information on our own resources, court updates, business news, things that could be particularly helpful to you as you weather your practice through this time. We also have mental health and wellness resources and access to justice updates. We've been providing and putting together a number of webinars since this crisis began, and we're really thankful to the sections and to the members for approaching us with topics, for working with us as we've been putting together some really unique content for all of you. And we have been providing these free of charge to the public and all legal professionals. And some of these topics have included remote work, managing staff, labor and employment issues, with remote notary and witnessing, how to cope with those issues. And all of those are available on our website, and they're also on YouTube and on different podcasts on SoundCloud. So we encourage you to please check those out. And as of today, there have been over 14,000 people that have accessed these webinars, both during live sessions and on demand. And here is just a summary of some of the sessions that we've had. And now we've done over 20, and we plan to continue those through May and through the summer. And really our focus now is, as things are reopening, working on strategies to help you think through that and any health concerns as well. And as I said, we've been offering that for free to all legal professionals. We've also made a decision to offer free our on-demand CLE catalog through June 30th to the entire profession. And we've seen a lot of people, members and non-members, take advantage of this opportunity as we're at home to take time to work on your skills and to go back and enjoy this content. And we have the coupon code here. It's also being sent out to you in our Learn From Home emails that we send every week. And we encourage you just please to share this with everyone, take a look at the catalog, and enjoy this content. I'm going to turn now to Anna Scholl. Anna, can you give us an update on other publications and outreach efforts?
Sure, thanks, Shally. As some of you may have noticed, we have been sending out what we call our e-weeklies, which is our electronic newsletter in your email box. We've been trying to make sure we have content related to COVID, as well as health and wellness and other resources that you would need in your practice, including any updates that we get from the various jurisdictions, whether it's from the Maryland Judiciary, the federal judiciary, or administrative courts. So that is where we're containing most of that information. So that comes out on Tuesdays, and then we send a second weekly roundup on Friday with some additional information. So hopefully you're finding those useful. If you have any recommendations or thoughts about helpful content, feel free to send that over to me or send that to feedback@msba.org, as we're always trying to improve the content that we're providing to make sure it's helpful for you and your practice. We do have the bar journal that's going to be released here imminently. I have the second draft. We're making final edits, so that will be published. It will be published digitally only, just simply because we recognize right now mail is a challenge. So this will be a digital version only of the bar journal. That'll be up on our website, and that will probably be featured in the e-weekly. So you'll know as soon as it's up through that publication. We also have a digital bar bulletin for April that's currently up, and our May edition will be coming out shortly as well. Again, digital only during this time period. I think that's all I have on publications. Again, one thing I will say, I'll do a quick plug here. Our publications are driven by member submitted content. So if you have an idea for an article or a feature, feel free to reach out to me. I can talk to you about deadlines and content length and things like that. But we're always looking for content that's relevant, particularly relevant to this section and any practice area that you might be involved in. Our bar journal that will come out this summer, we're trying to get a survey of kind of like the impact of COVID-19 on certain practice areas. So if you believe COVID-19 has impacted permanently or even temporarily the practice, your area of practice, and you'd like to write an article about it, again, reach out. I'd love to have it. And like I said, we count on our members for this content, and it's always a good way to get your name out there. So it's a win-win. So that's my plug. Sorry, Charlie, go ahead.
Thanks, Anna. Following up on that, we are still continuing to put out our publications, both available digitally and in print. ESI is the next title that we have coming out. And then we also have a title on judgment avoidance, on exemptions and lien stripping. And these are also a list of what's currently available. So we also encourage you to go on our website and see what's there. Anna, could you also just give us an update on the Legal Summit?
Sure. So I think as many of you have probably heard by now, the Board of Governors made the very difficult decision of canceling our 2020 Legal Summit and annual meeting. I know that's a disappointment for many, as this is a long-time tradition, but we believe at the end of the day, it's the best decision in terms of the health and safety of everybody involved. So we will be pushing out a lot of the programming digitally. So we have just begun yesterday kind of identifying the programs and the type of information and creating a schedule so that we can get a lot of the programs that were supposed to happen at the annual meeting scheduled for film, either live stream or just recorded. So that will be available for folks later this summer. So stay tuned and look out for that. And then we are also working on organizing something we call the Legal Excellence Summit, or the Legal Excellence Week, I'm sorry. And that will be just a week long of our traditional programs. So we have a lot of institutes, our Advanced Business Law Institute, our Advanced Estate Planning Institute, our Solo Summit, and some other programming that all traditionally happens in the fall. So our goal is to kind of schedule those collectively in 1 week and market it as a Legal Excellence Week, so everybody can kind of come out and celebrate. We'll throw in some keynote speakers and some other social events as well. So hopefully in the fall, when things have calmed down and when we have a chance to get in person again, that would be something you can all attend. So we look forward to that, and more information on that to come as well.
Thanks, Anna.
Charlie?
Yes, Richard?
Richard here. I just wanted to let everyone know that I posted the link to the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee page in the comments up on the right. So if they just click on that, they'll scroll down to May 7th, and they will have the material and the link to the YouTube.
Great. Thank you, Richard. I'll turn now to Lisa Kaplan, who is director of our Lawyer Assistance Program, to give us an update on resources that she has available for you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. At least I think it's Thursday. It's kind of hard to keep track sometimes. We have a health and wellness COVID page that has a lot of information on it. Everything from, yoga to home workouts to the tip of the day to a new tip sheet that was just written by one of the committee members on how he's managing his practice during these difficult times. There's emergency resources, there's webinars. We just did a webinar on midday reset. It was great, and you can watch that on there. So there's a lot of different resources that can help you manage these difficult times. And then the Lawyer Assistance Program is always also available as well. And it is free, it's confidential, it's a counseling program for a variety of issues. It is not just a substance abuse program. You can call me, you can talk with me on the phone, we can talk about what's going on. It's available to all lawyers in Maryland. And we have a statewide network of counselors. So when we're able to get up and move around again, you're able to see a counselor that is close to where you are located. In the meantime, I'm working with people on the phone. I can do virtual video chats with them. So whatever works for you. Also, if you're ever concerned about an attorney, please call me and we can talk about that attorney. You're not going to get them in trouble. You may end up actually saving a life. A lot of people are really struggling. So if you see a change in somebody's behavior or somebody seems to be withdrawing, give me a call. You will be completely anonymous. So please call me and reach out. And also we have financial assistance available for mental health and substance abuse. So if you're in weekly counseling, you're having a hard time paying for that, we have a fund that can help pay for that. If you're in the need of any kind of inpatient, outpatient substance abuse, mental health treatment, we're able to help with that as well. And I'm not sure if I mentioned the support group that I'm doing on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. It's going to run through May. It has been a small group, but a really great group. We talked about resilience yesterday. I talked about some non-traditional stress management techniques. And if you want to know about those, you're going to have to tune in on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Thanks.
Thank you, Lisa. Our partner, the Access to Justice Commission, has also been working hard. They've also created a dedicated COVID-19 website, which is there to help civil legal aid organizations and those practitioners, as well as to give the public information about things that seem to be changing almost every day on issues such as immigration, domestic violence procedures, and landlord-tenant. They are also focusing their efforts on engaging weekly with these civil legal aid organizations, both at the leadership level and at the level of staff who are conducting remote hearings, who are offering remote services. They're also working on a public information campaign to educate everyone about these issues, focused on funding for the year ahead, and thinking about offering disaster legal services and collecting a volunteer group of attorneys who can assist with those kinds of cases. So that's a bit of a summary of what we've been up to. We always encourage you to reach out to us at feedback@msba.org or to contact any of us directly, as we're here to help you. And I'll just turn it over for a moment. I know we have Angela Monroe and Doris Barnes on the phone. Can you all give us an update about the section and the work that you've been doing?
Hi, this is Doris. I'm going to ask Susan Land is on the call. She's the chair of the section.
Absolutely.
And she can give us, I just hoping this is working.
Yeah, we can hear you, Doris. Sure. So I'll.
Okay, good. Usually it takes a day or two to get here. So yeah, let's Susan do the update. The nominations committee just finished their work.
Okay, so hi, good morning, everybody. It is so nice to, well, if not see your face moving, to at least see your phone numbers and to know that everybody got up for this. So right now, the interesting thing about our section is that we cross all subject areas, right? I mean, we deal with, solo and small firms, and that could be criminal law, it could be corporate law, it could be anything. So we actually, the bad part is we had to cancel our spring program. The good part is that the MSBA has jumped on this and done everything that we could possibly have wanted. I do have a question for all of you that are here, all of our members. we had a council meeting a couple weeks ago, and one of our council members suggested that we have a webinar or something like this for each separate jurisdiction so that we could talk to the administrative judge or the court clerk about what was going on in that specific jurisdiction. Because although the Court of Appeals has been issuing orders, every jurisdiction is doing it differently. So we've been in contact with Andrea Terry, who's been great, and I know she's waiting for us to get back to her because the CLE program led by Andrea is going to help us with that. We have contacted most of the counties, but it also appears that a lot of the jurisdictions are doing their own thing. So for instance, I think Baltimore City was having a town hall, something like that. I know Ann Dady was on the call before. I think she dropped off. Anyway, so if there is any particular jurisdiction that you would like to see, you just have questions that just maybe they're not being very transparent, or maybe what they're sending out is just very confusing. So if you have jurisdiction specific questions, either contact me directly, put it in the chat box, and we will work really hard to get that done, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So, just let me know what you all want to see, because that's what we're doing here. They had a suggested topic of discuss challenges and successes related to the practice sector since the emergency began. We're not making any money. That's the biggest issue, is that it's very difficult. We're spending so much time getting up and running that it's just crazy. So the only advice I can give is you really need to utilize the MSBA resources. Contact us directly. Do whatever it is that you need to do so that you and your practice survive this, because we are going to get through. I'm not going to say we're going to get back to normal, because I don't know what the heck normal is, but we're going to get there. And the best way to do it is to do it together, even though we're solos and small firm. So with regards to the committee as a whole, Doris did mention that we just finished our nominations committee, just finished. Actually, today's Thursday, so I want to say we finished it yesterday. I'm losing track of days too, so we all are. I want to give thanks to everybody on the committee, but a special thanks to Ryan Wilson, who was our non-council member, but section member on the committee. And so we really appreciate the fact that he stepped up. I know he was in here, but I do see him. He's here. No video, but Ryan, thank you so much for your help. Everybody else on the committee was great as well. And so we do have our nominations, and I'd like to introduce, if I may, this is not the official, what am I going to say? This is not the official nominations report. You guys will get that, and at some point we're going to have a section meeting. But our board next year, the council next year, is going to be led by Lisa Hesse, who is also on here somewhere. Lisa, wave, Lisa. Yeah, there's Lisa. She is incredible. She's actually been chair before, I believe, before my time, but she's fantastic. So we're really excited about that. Our chair-elect will be Bob Frank. Secretary is Kimberly Klein, treasurer, Philip Cronin, and I'll be the immediate past chair. So for next year, our circuit representatives will be First Circuit, Amanda Forrester Cannon, Second Circuit, Michael Jacobs, Third Circuit, Andrew Hartman, Fourth Circuit, Robert Alderson, Fifth Circuit, Samara Stevenson, Sixth Circuit, Lashina Williams, Seventh Circuit, Angel Murphy, or is it Angela Murphy, Lisa? You have to unmute yourself. Angel Murphy. Okay, so it was typed right. I wasn't sure. The Eighth Circuit will be Ann Dady. Now, our at-large positions, we have 7 at-large positions. Our technology council member will be Tom Volkanet. Our young lawyer section member will be Divya Potdar. Our judicial member will be Judge Eric Nice. And then our at-large members will be Camilla Rogers, Jim Lang, and David Grover. David, I saw you on here, so if you want to wave to everybody, that's David. David's moved over from the Board of Governors as from our BOG liaison position, and we just need to wait from the Board of Governors to find out who will be trying to fill his shoes. So that's what the council will most likely look like next year. If anybody has any questions, concerns, want to know how you can get on the council, want to know how you can participate with the council, even if you're not on, just let me know. I know that I appreciate all of the help that I can get. I know Lisa's going to appreciate it as well.
Very much. In fact, we encourage participation, right, from our members at large. If you like to just help put together a CLE, or you have really good ideas for something you think solos would like to participate in or learn about, that's helpful to us. You're our base. You're the people we're trying to serve. So all the help.
Thanks, Lisa. There was a question in the chat box that asked about posting a schedule of the town halls in current jurisdictions that are having them. And Angela very quickly responded, so I'll let everybody know. On the MSBA calendar, the local town halls, even if they're not sponsored by MSBA, will be posted, right? Angela, that's what you were trying to say in there. So, so the information is available, but everybody on here is also, on our, I know we're not supposed to use listserv, but is on our mailing. So if you have questions like that, put it out there. If you just need to know, hey, I have a case coming up in Baltimore City, but my practice is out in Frederick. How are they handling postponements now? Or how are they handling uncontested divorces? Put it out there and somebody will be able to either answer or direct it for you. We have one of the most active and kind groups, I think. We're also one of the largest, so we definitely have the information. It's just a matter of asking for it. So again, the fall legal summit, or the fall solo and small firm summit that we usually have in November this year, is going to be, I believe, part and parcel of the Legal Excellence Week that Anna told us about. So the goal is to have these things available in person. Of course, we would hope that by November we can all see each other in person, but keep in mind what types of programs you think would work very well in this type of a format, okay? So if there's something where you think, hey, this type of thing, we don't have to actually see people. We just need to get this information. I think it'll work well online. Let us know, because we're going to all have to be really creative about it. And it's a matter of thinking outside the box. I'm incredibly impressed with how the members of the bar have jumped into this and just done things that we're not used to doing. And I really appreciate everybody's hard work. The last thing I want to say, speaking of hard work, is I really want to give a shout out to the MSBA. I think a couple people may have dropped off, but on this call, we have Shally, Doris, Angela, Richard Montgomery, Anna Scholl, Lisa Kaplan. Everybody at the MSBA has incredibly, and they're waving, yay, has really stepped up. They're doing things that were not part of their job description when they were hired. I'm not sure if I saw an email from Andrea Terry flash across my screen, or if she was here. It might have just been an email. She's probably doing other work, but they've really stepped up and made our dues so worthwhile. If you ever had a doubt this is proof that those dues we've been paying are definitely worth it. So I want to thank them again. And I think the next section, Shally, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're opening this up to all of you for any questions you have, comments, suggestions, concerns, anything you've got.
Yes, Susan, and thank you, Susan, for that wonderful summary of what's been going on, and to think about moving forward as well and keep planning, keep getting excited for fall programming, and of course with an eye on what's safe and what we're hearing from the governor's office. I think that's the only way to go about this. So we do encourage you all to post in the chat. Sometimes that's easier to get a conversation started, but you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask or make any comments here. I will also say that we're really thankful to this section, especially as Susan said, you're very active, you're very involved. And as we head into our renewal season this month, we wanted to let you know about a new program that we have, which is the MSBA Passport. And it's sort of like an all-access pass that will not only pay for your dues, but it will also include your registration for next year's 2021 annual meeting. It will also cover the solo and small firm registration, will give you access to incredible number of CLEs and other networking events.
The only thing I want to add to that, oh, Shally just froze. Can anybody hear me, or are you still hearing Shally?
Practice to stay engaged with the content and the community that we have.
So the only comment I want to make about that passport is that I was very excited about it. I thought it was great. And then I went through and I did it, and I realized it's kind of expensive at a period of time when a lot of us don't have the income coming in. So I did the math for myself. I went back, what have I spent money on? And it actually is a really good deal. It definitely, I think what it'll do when I register, I plan on getting the passport. I'm not getting a commission every time somebody else gets a passport, so don't worry about that. But what it'll do is it's going to motivate me to go to more programs, because I know that last year there were a couple programs I didn't go to because maybe I didn't have the money at that day. But this way, if I'm paying for it all up front, there's going to be more opportunities. So that's my plug for it. Definitely check your own wallet, keep your membership, but really consider the passport, because I think in the long run, it's going to be a big benefit for people.
Thanks, Susan. So I see we have a few comments. Thanking all of us for the resources. And yes, Montgomery County is holding uncontested divorces remotely. I'll let everyone know that we had a webinar, I think it was last week or the week before, looking at what the different jurisdictions are doing for family law cases. And that webinar is available on our website and on YouTube. And it's a nice summary of what's happening. Again, changing day to day, but it's a nice way to kind of orient yourself with what some of the local procedures are. And if there's interest from this group, as Susan said, now is really the time to let us know what you're looking for. Andrea Terry is working hard. Our team is working hard to put those together. So if there are specific issue areas, I'd encourage any of you to speak up, or any programs that you think you could help be a part of. We really are here to help. We have a question here about what will the MSBA be doing with the fees that we paid for the annual meeting? And I know, Anna, you had sent out an email to people that had registered, and what we had offered is a refund for that cost. But we're also had offered and are still offering a great benefit. So Susan and I were just talking about the passport program, which is generally $695. But if you had registered for the annual meeting for this year, we would agree to convert that cost to cover passport for the next year. So it's really a great discount, great benefit. We just want to keep people engaged. So please reach out to us if you haven't already about that. Otherwise, we will be refunding that money. And as Anna said, looking at ways to put that content out into the summer and into the fall. Anna, did you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. But so yeah, so those were the two options that were given. So I'll throw the email address in the chat box for anybody who has additional questions on that they need to contact member services.
Thank you. And, as Anna had said earlier, it was not an easy decision. It's one that we made after really looking at what the governor and public health officials were saying, what other areas were doing, what people were looking at with other conferences and in the area. So we're really thankful that you all were very patient with us as we made that decision. One of the things I think may be helpful, Susan, looks like we have almost 40 people on this call, is to get an understanding of the jurisdictions that people are practicing in, and if there are any communication issues, or if there are areas of clarification that you'd like, it might be helpful for us to go through that. So Susan, I don't know if you can see everyone on your screen. Maybe you could see if some folks would like to chime in here.
Yeah, I feel bad just calling on people.
Especially no. Of course not.
But I know that there are some people, like I see Steve from the Eastern Shore, and I know that David and Lisa from like the area, the DC metro area, so to speak. Where is everybody else from? Hi, Steve. Thank you for waving to me. Good morning. Where's everybody else from? Oh, somebody on the phone just said something. Where are you from?
Hi, I'm Darlene McLaughlin. I practice in Carroll County, Howard County, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Harford County. And I do predominantly landlord-tenant issues. I have a company called MarylandRentCourt.com, and we're virtually shut down because we cannot file anything. So, and what's hurting us too is that the governor, Rancho has told people not to pay their rent, which has put our clients in this uproar. So I'm dealing with the client restoration, maintaining the clientele base, because they're saying that we're being negligent in not filing, and then I'm producing the reports to them from the governor shutting down or telling people not to pay rent and so forth until this is over with. We're building a plan to help our clients to build rapport with their tenants rather than an acrimonious attack, by building payment plans, which they would, gradually catch up their rent, and then restore their rent payments when everything gets to the normalcy that we eventually, hopefully, will see, whatever that may be. So, for out here, it's the fact that we can't file anything has been devastating.
I'm going to ask you for a favor, because it's always scary to start talking and be volunteered for something. If you could put your name in the chat box, I'm actually going to get in touch with you, because maybe a good program that we could try to put together, even something just as simple as this, is having, attorneys like yourself and maybe attorneys from the tenant side also. Maybe we could get somebody from MVLS. I'm kind of thinking out loud, just to talk about what is going on, what the current rules are. If that's something that you'd like, just shoot your name into the chat box for me, so I have it.
Well, I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not
okay,
that techy.
Okay. So do me a favor. Can you contact me by email?
Yes. Give me your email. I'll send you an email.
Okay, it's Susan Land Law. No spaces, just SUSANLANDLAW@gmail.com.
We've met before.
I keep your name. You keep cutting out with your name, but we'll figure it out. Thank you.
We've met before, so I think I have you in my email base.
Great. Thanks so much.
I will. I'll send you an email.
Okay. It looks like. Did somebody else want to say something? Any other ideas or comments? Because I think that would be great. Any particular jurisdictions that are just seem to be not talking to their people? Let's see. We have Judge Greenberg in Montgomery County did hold a town hall, and the Montgomery County Bar Association shared a transcript. Ryan, is it possible to make sure that that transcript is shared on our email list? If you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Has that transcript been shared with the MSBA as well?
We'll share that, Susan.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shelley.
And I'll also say that Howard County just held a town hall as well. As Angela said, we're posting all of that information on our site, and we will be communicating summaries and any other information as we receive it and as we put it together, because I know many of you are busy and have many, many meetings and clients to attend to. So we are trying to push that out as quickly as we can.
Thank you so much.
Anyone, Prince George's County, our Chief Judge, Tillerson Adams, as well as Judge Cotton, who is the Family Law Administrative Judge, are holding a practicing family law in the era of COVID, and it's going to be on May 20th, and it's basically open to everyone, not just Prince George's County bar members. So my understanding is you just need to reach out to the Prince George's County Bar to want to figure out how to attend or get an invite.
I know Carroll
Great,
County
thank you.
did. Carroll County held a town hall, which I missed due to family reasons this past week, and I'm hoping that they've posted some transcript of it. Judge Hecker handled it, and I believe it was on May 3rd.
Okay.
Thank you all. And I know some people were cutting out a bit. So just to repeat, if people didn't hear, it sounds like on May 20th that there will be a offering from Prince George's County judges, and Carroll County had one last week. I think someone else was trying to make a comment as well. I think there were a few people talking at once. So I just want to invite anyone else to speak up if you were going to contribute a comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, this is Pat Cresta-Savage. I just want to say I'm in Anne Arundel County, and they've done an excellent job. We've had 2 Zoom meetings with Judge Ripken and then Judge McKenna in District Court. And we're hoping to have another one after May 15th when Chief Judge Barbera comes out with her new order. My only concern is once the court is up and running on June 8th, how are they going to be rescheduling cases, and will anything be continued remotely? I think there are a number of issues that affect our bar members. So,
yes, thank you for those comments. And I'll share, as we've been communicating with the judiciary and with the other judges, I think the idea is to have a phased reopening. And I think next week we'll hear more from the chief judge about what that looks like. The administrative orders that have been issued do indicate a continuation of remote technologies that could go on beyond June 5th. And we've heard from a lot of you and from the different jurisdictions that there are a variety of remote technologies that are being used. Some courts are going telephonic, others are using Skype. Montgomery County was using Blue Jeans. So we're also trying to see if there will be some more clarity about what platforms will be used and what you all as practitioners and with your clients will need to familiarize yourselves with. So if anyone has any comments about that as well, I think that could be useful. So we have a comment here. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you for that effort in keeping us apprised of that, because I just think we're not going to go back to normal. We're going to go back to somewhat normal, maybe. So.
Yes, and part of what we're doing and what the courts are doing is looking at what other jurisdictions are doing. The federal judge in Maryland, Judge Brodar, and Judge Barbera, they are in communication as well. So, it's one of those things where they are assessing what everyone's doing. They're putting work groups together for the district and circuit courts in Maryland. And as you said, hoping by May 15th that we'll have some more guidance so that we can plan and we're not at June 5th wondering what's next.
Thank you.
Also, I just got an update email. Judge Hecker is entering a May 13th town hall at 3 p.m. on Zoom if you want to attend here in Carroll County to discuss how the courts will reopen out there and the protocols that'll be in place.
Thank you so much. And you said that's Judge Hecker?
Judge Hecker, he's the administrative law judge right now in Carroll County.
Okay.
Thank you. So we will, any of those that you'd like to share with us or share with Susan, we'll be sure to post those on our website as well, because as we're seeing, there are judges that are holding multiple town halls as we prepare for reopening. I'd just like to address some of the comments that are in the chat, Susan. We have a question from David about whether the conversion of this year's annual meeting fees also include entry to next year's annual meeting. Yes, so if you did pay for this year's annual meeting and you would like to convert that for the cost of the registration to Passport, which is a great discount, that Passport for next year will include your registration for the 2021 annual meeting. So that would be a yes. Philip Robinson has also posted here, Anna, some ideas for mini section CLEs. Thank you so much for that. And Philip, if you'd like to join in the chat now with any of that, feel free. Otherwise, we're happy to talk offline.
Well, so I was around in 2008. One mini CLE could be, what did we learn in 2008 that's coming? Because the unemployment in some states is now 25%. Economy is going to bottom out. Solo small firm attorneys are going to have to figure out how to do business. So that might be just a topic conversation, is what happened in 2008 and how did people make it through? A lot of attorneys didn't. So that might be one topic. Richard Montgomery and I could do maybe a conversation about potential legislation that will be done at the state level when the General Assembly comes back. I'm the solo member on the Laws Committee, or have been. So we could have a conversation with the section to talk about what things section members think need to be addressed potentially in whatever special sessions occur when that happens. So that's another topic. Another one, I did my first Zoom consult, and I think it's a little different to try to do a consult and sign up a client. So we can all talk about the ethics and all that kind of thing about whatever platform you're using, Blue Jeans, Zoom, or whatever. But I think as a practical marketing thing, members might, who are comfortable doing in-person consults, might like to see a sample consult, by video, and then customize it to their own sort of personality. So, we have to figure out how to take those prospective clients that are going to come to us and get them engaged, and they may not be able to come to our offices, or we may not want them to come to our offices. We may not want to meet them anywhere. So, so at least in my practice, I need to get a bunch of documents usually that they bring to a consult. So in any event, that just watching something like that might be helpful for members young and even those who are more seasoned and aren't tech savvy. So those are a couple ideas I had.
Thank you. Those are wonderful. And we already have a virtual thumbs up from Richard Montgomery I can see in the chat, which would be nice to see. I will let everyone know we are working on putting together a program week after next that will focus on e-signing and document security with your clients as we're moving into this remote world, both for court pleadings as well as agreements, retainers, things like that. So I think that will also hope that will be helpful to all of you. And one thing that we've all sort of touched on, I think would be helpful, especially with this group, is talking through what remote platforms you've been using. I know, Philip, you mentioned Zoom. We talked about what some of the courts are doing. But if there are any technologies that you're finding very useful or that you have questions about, it might be good to share with this group. And
well,
yes, Dave.
Oral argument this week at Court of Special Appeals. They changed platform this month. I like the Zoom platform better, but one nice thing is the Court of Special Appeals is posting all the arguments on their website. So if people don't have much to do, they can go listen to a bunch of different arguments that you could never listen to before.
Absolutely.
Just as a little bit of a public service announcement, there were arguments in front of the Supreme Court, which were done, online, virtually, so to speak, first time ever. And I believe that Justice Kagan had questioned somebody, and as he was answering, I don't know if it was from his home or somebody else's, but you could hear a toilet flushing. This is the Supreme Court of the United States. Nobody lost their cool. They all just continued on. And I just have to say, I was really impressed that even at the Supreme Court, you have crazy things like that. So when you are doing court or really meeting with a client or anything, and you're on one of these, make sure that you know what's going on behind you. Close the door if you need to. But I just thought that was great. I've really admire the fact that nobody lost their composure during that little it was like maybe 15-20 seconds of a lot of humor, which they did not lose their cool. So I was impressed. That's my PSA of be careful when you're online.
I agree, Anna, with Phil. I preferred Zoom. I had to do an argument via Zoom before the Court of Special Appeals, and it was very easy to manage. But then they changed it right before my next argument to Skype Business, and we just opted to postpone. That option was taken away from us. They just decided to issue a ruling. So that was interesting. We didn't have to do that third argument, but I do like Zoom. I find that, and I like Google Hangouts. I think these two platforms are the easiest to manage. I'm not a big fan of Skype, but that's just me. I just wish they would pick one platform. It would be easier.
Yes, and I'll share that the federal judiciary is using Zoom for business. So they have looked into the security concerns, but they're still using that platform, and it's specific for them. And I think part of that consideration, we're hoping to see, what Judge Barbera and what we'll hear from the court, because there are just so many platforms out there, and some of the things we've heard in these coffee talks is not only am I getting up to speed on how to have a remote practice, how to make sure I'm in touch with my client, but just informing my client of how to use this tool when I myself am learning how to use this tool for the first time. So I think these are all really, really important points, and hopefully we'll all start to get some clarity from them.
Great.
I have one lesson to share. I did a federal Zoom hearing last week, and it's just for anybody who's going to do court hearings, make sure you dress appropriately as if you're going to court, because opposing counsel will use whatever device he was using slipped during the hearing, and the judge at the end of the hearing told him he was dressed inappropriately for court proceedings. So I don't think any of us should be in that position.
And something helpful for our clients to know as well.
Thank you. There, just as a final note, I had just seen an advertisement last week for a hey, thanks, Steve. I'll let y'all know what his comment was in a second. But there was an ad on television for a legal drama called All Rise, which I had never seen before. Honestly, probably won't watch it again, but apparently their season finale was in the middle of being filmed when all of this happened. And it's a story of a female judge in California who's appointed, and it's basically this LA law, but in a courtroom. So you know who the public defender is that's always in front of her, state's attorney, the court clerk, the the court reporter, the judge, the different judges. What they did is the finale, which was on Monday night, aired on Monday night, I think it was CBS, was all done like this. And it was the discussions between the different characters, whether, you know, in the morning when they were exercising or at night when they had a date. But the really interesting thing is they showed a trial. Now, I was really upset because the witness testified without being sworn in, but it was really interesting. They did a very good job of pointing out some of the real issues. For instance, it was a criminal trial and the defendant got very upset and started telling his lawyer, I want to change my mind. I want to change my mind. There was nowhere for the lawyer and the client to speak privately. What do you do? So it was really interesting. I'm like I said, I don't know that I'll ever watch the show again. It wasn't that phenomenal, but you might want to check that out. I'm sure CBS has it on some streaming service or something. And it was just really interesting. And I thought they did a pretty good job of showing, you know, the legal thing. The judge didn't have a gavel. So the first time they were in court, she used a book and slammed it down. And the second time she had a meat tenderizer. You know, it just goes to show what was happening. So it was very interesting. And it was kind of a fun little diversion, but I just thought you might want to see that anyway. I do want to kind of reiterate what Steve said in his in the comment. He says, stay strong and positive. This too shall pass. If anyone needs a lift, call me. And he puts his phone number in there. And I'll tell you, I know Steve, call him. He's a really nice guy, but also call any of us, you know, reach out. Don't do this alone. So thank you so much for all being here.
Thank you all for joining. Have a good morning.
Good day, everybody.